So hello and welcome everyone to today's Thursday Live. And I am very excited. We have a 2-hour live today, and we're going to begin today with our special guest, Dr. Kimberly McGeorge. And I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much. You are going to help show us through your eyes what you see in auras, and help us just to develop and deepen our abilities on how to use the Genius Insight app to help just expand our knowledge and expertise and different ways we can help people. So welcome and take it away, Kimberly.
Thank you. Sure. So just to introduce myself, I do have my own business. I have been with the Genius app family since the beginning when Karen and Ryan had their initial app. And then, of course, I came over to the Genius with Ryan, and I chose not to, I don't even know what her app is called, but I chose not to continue with Karen's app. I love the Genius so much. And I actually have my own copy of it, which we won't really go down that road. But anyway, I just love the Genius. And when I first used the Genius, or was taught to use the Genius, I really didn't have much use for the aura feature. I just skipped it. I didn't use it, didn't do much with it. Part of that is because I was born with the ability to see people's auras and to see energy and to see through the dimensions. So I kind of was relying a lot on my own psychic abilities instead of, using the technology. But as I began to, because it brings up the aura anyway, and even though I wasn't using it, I started kind of out of my side of my eye, noting patterns, because another one of my abilities is to take large amounts of information or data and see patterns, and kind of draw a conclusion from that. And so I started running the aura every time. I started making that a focus and looking at the before auras before I ran a scan, and not so much putting frequencies through and then seeing the aura after, but really trying to use the aura as a diagnostic tool to help me know, okay, if somebody gives me carte blanche, so someone can buy a scan and they can say, I want you to look at my liver. Well, of course, I'm going to look at your liver, and then I'm going to tell you a whole bunch of information you didn't ask me to tell you, because that's just me. But if someone just says, tell me what my oversoul or my higher self wants to know, I think that's really exciting, because then we can start to see what the soul, what the energy field, what the body is asking for. And of course, we know that our higher self knows the best and quickest way to emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental healing. So the aura to me it's an initial snapshot. I call a first pull aura. If no one's ever been on any of this kind of technology and you pull a first aura, you're going to get some pretty valuable information. Now, if they have had their aura pulled, the information may not be as valuable. So what I look for in a first pull aura is very different from what I look in with someone I've worked with repeated times, because the first pull aura is going to tell me how spiritually oppressed they are, how much they've worked on their shadow or not worked on their shadow. How are they holding their body? Are they connected to the all, through their hara line, which we'll talk about, more in depth in a minute. It's going to talk about if there are other beings sharing their body. It's going to tell me, are they integrated? Are they expanded? Are they in purification, which are all tenets that we base on how to game the game in what I teach. So that's kind of like a background of how I started like wrangling and wrestling, with these auras.
So, well, that's so exciting. And so, I've always talked about on the spiritual protection on that one panel on the Genius and how important it is. And so that really is a small, because it's so, the spiritual protection is, such a broad topic, and it's, but so that's a window into what you're seeing in some of those other aspects that we're going to start looking at. So should I start sharing the screen and get going on that?
Hold on one second. I want to add, you actually opened up, which is nice because you have a field that does that for people. But open up a couple more points. As I started teaching advanced aura reading classes, and we started as a group over about 10, 20, 30 hours as a group of 30, 40 people looking at massive amounts of auras together. One thing we noticed about auras is they're not static. So there's dimensionality even to these genius auras. So it's not just the colors that you see and the layers that you see. Actually, if you have fourth and fifth dimensional sight or highly developed psychic abilities, you can actually see through the auras, and there's even other layers of information, which of course is why we call it advanced, not basic aura reading, but advanced aura reading. The other cool thing, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, is sometimes as you're looking at the aura, because all time is now, all energy is now, there's no locality anywhere, but these auras will start moving. So you can actually see portals opening and closing in real time as you're looking at these auras. So these auras are not two-dimensional. They're not even three-dimensional. That we've really found they go up into the seventh, eighth, and ninth dimension as far as information. It just depends on, again, what you have access to. And some of it can be taught, and some of it you're going to have to activate your abilities, which is possible in everybody.
So, well, yeah. And that is, so, I mean, that's the biggest thing too, I want to get across to everybody that's watching and with us now, or will watch later, is that, if you don't see something that we're talking about, like, don't get discouraged. It comes with practice. I don't even know that I see everything. I'm sure I don't see everything actually that Dr. Kimberly is going to be seeing. So, but it does take practice, and it does opening up our own individual intuition. And that, again, is one thing that I've always tried to stress in these lives when working with everybody, is trust your inner compass. Like, really, like, even if you don't feel like you have the knowledge, just trust it, because you can't make a mistake here. So that was my little spiel.
Absolutely. And again, there's no invaluable information. If you can only get, sometimes, believe it or not, I only get 2 pieces of information from an aura, and I can read auras like nobody's business, and I still only get 1 or 2 valuable pieces of information. So any information you're getting from the genius, no matter what your background or your level, is extremely valuable to you and your clients. And to me, it's more of kind of keeping a broad lens and accumulating this information. Every scan you do is a learning opportunity for you to sharpen your psychic abilities, for you to sharpen your understanding of how to use this technology. Because people say, well, what does this technology do? I'll tell you what this technology does. There is nothing that cannot be known with this technology. Now, there's a lot of ifs and buts with that. It's how you program it. How you write panels is important. Who's writing the panels is important. What topics you're writing the panels on is important. So there's a lot to that. Your relationship. This is a sentient, I call the genius, I call it quantum, sentient, benevolent AI. This is an intelligent relationship. So you need to form a relationship with your technology. And just like any relationship, the better the relationship, you're going to be happier in your life from the results of that relationship. And what does it take to develop a relationship? I mean, I probably run over 200,000 scans in the last 8 years, probably 300,000 scans. I mean, on myself alone, I run myself 10 to 30 times a day. And you don't need clients. You can use your pets. I use this to clear houses all over the world. I use this to clear objects all over the world. I use this to clear, I work with the paranormal. I work with, cryptozoology. The application of this is the sky's the limit. I work with Fortune 500 companies, and I scan their employees before they hire them. And they go by what the genius says, whether they hire you or not. Like, this is infinite. You guys can build huge careers with huge streams of income if you understand there is no limits to how to use this technology. Okay, sorry. Genius commercial.
No, that's great. I could listen to you all day, but I know that everybody is anxious to start looking at these aura pics that we have and just get insight. So let me start sharing my screen. And okay, so which one should we, you can see my screen now, right? It kind of
let's do support it. Let's not. Let's do compression, toxicity control, and programming first.
Okay. So this is the first.
I'm sorry, I just made these slides really sloppy. Usually my slides are awesome, but these are not awesome slides. These are basic slides. So I want to point out a couple of things here. Can you see my arrow as I move it, Denise?
No, no, it's mine.
Okay. Oh, it's yours. Okay. So you're going to have to figure this out.
Yeah.
So
We'll see how good I am at this. I'll go
okay.
to where I'm guided.
Okay, so the first thing I want to point out, and this is something I see in about 8 out of 10 RAs when I pull them from clients, not usually myself, thank goodness, but sometimes myself too. We see this egg shape on the top. Can you trace that egg shape above the yellow? Thank you. And it's definitely an egg shape, which matches the shape of how I see RAs around people with my, psychic abilities. And what we're seeing here is we're seeing a compression. So we're seeing a pressing down or making the bean smaller. What we have come to observe, and you guys have to realize I have thousands and thousands of panels programmed into the Genius, but what we have come to understand when we see an R like this, and then we run the person, is this usually is indicating control from the outside of the person. Now, some people might think it indicates they're not expanded, and that is true, but we have not found that to be true based on bouncing the information off of the 1,000 panels that we have and running hundreds and hundreds of RS that look like this against certain panels that I have to ask these questions. So what we're finding is when we see this is it's generally a compression from handlers in your life, from programming that you're under, from belief systems that you're trapped under, from corporations, and that's a whole nother subject, but the corporations control a lot in this reality now, I know that, from the military, from, it can be from trauma, and highly traumatized situations, known and unknown in your childhood. But there's this compression. So when I see a person pulling out like this, I know they're not living in full expansion. I know they're not living in full creation. I know that they're not living in their full potential of their timeline. If this is a first pull aura, I would say this is a pretty habitual thing. And then it gives me direction. I know I need to be looking at who the handlers in their life are. I know I need to be deprogramming them. I know I need to be working on purification, because I hope you guys know this is an extremely, well, no, it's not extremely, it's a lightly toxic aura. How do we know that? Because the whole aura has a gray shade over the whole thing. So we have this compression, and then we have a gray shading, and it's consistent over the whole thing. So control, we have, so how we have these charts and they say yellow equals this, bright yellow equals this. Well, I don't know if you guys have ever looked at a true color wheel from an artistic standpoint, but a true color wheel, there's like 1,000 yellows, you guys. There's 1,000 reds. There's 1,000 blues. And so it becomes very important as you develop your skill in R reading that you understand the difference between yellow, white yellow, gray yellow, dark yellow, orange yellow. It all means something different. Now, here's the super frustrating thing and the super cool thing about colors. Colors have a certain frequency. That frequency is specific each time. So this color of yellow will never change the meaning. It will always mean the exact same thing because it's the same frequency. So that's how you can know that you can become extremely accurate and extremely talented, at least with color, at R reading, as you accumulate different R's with the same shading, and then you're running it against panels that also give you feedback for your own knowing, as you said, your own abilities, your own knowledge of the situation, client, or person, then you know that this always indicates something. This particular yellow, and there's a couple yellows that fall under the control category, indicate that this person is being heavily puppeted or heavily controlled, again, from the outside. So these are going to be bosses. These are going to be romantic partners. These are going to be family members. These are going to be friends. And it could be covert control, or it could be, overt control. They could be in a relationship with a narcissist, for example. This is a very common color that you will see with people struggling in relationships with narcissists. So we know instantly, I would be looking at, okay, so this person's compressed from the outside and this person's controlled from the outside. So if they're desiring freedom, if they're desiring expansion, we need to start, asking the right questions about relationships and looking at, are they in narcissistic relationships? Are they in abusive relationships? Do they have a lot of, wounding around abandonment, from their family of origin? So we're going to dig into that. And a lot of my clients give me carte blanche. So we're not going to go just for the physical stuff. They're more interested in the spiritual, emotional, or mental things. So then the other thing I immediately would look for, the other thing I go to in any aura, is I want to see how well they're holding their body. And so this person's holding their body fairly well, but I can see just in how my vision that they're not completely holding their body. So even though we have this egg shape on top, we shouldn't have any curvature or any corners. And if you can see, there's corners here. So they're pulling out of their body on the bottom. And how
down here.
Yeah, can you see that? Just the little corners. They're pulling a little bit out of their body. They're not, they're not drawing the energy all the way through. The next thing I noticed immediately about this aura, and is very, very important, is I bet if I had pulled what I call the life force number, and I don't know if you guys know this, but I've discovered this just running thousands of dollars every month. The number that coordinates with the aura has a lot to do with what I call life force energy. So when we see people that are dying, or we see people that are chronically ill, or we see people that have gone through a divorce or under tremendous stress, we see a low, what I call life force energy, which is the number beside the aura. If we see a 500, and again, I'm going to also tell you that I completely disagree. And Ryan knows this, so it's going to be no shock. Anything I say will probably not be a shock to Ryan, but I completely disagree with the numerical numbers and the colors. We do not look at colors in my business, and we balance exquisitely with amazing results. We balance up between, we go to 400 to 600. So anything above 600 is stressed. Anything above 400 is weakened. We go all the way up to 400, and then we go above 600. So we balance a lot tighter than you guys have been taught to. We also have amazing, amazing results consistently. So you can experiment with that if you want. So there's so much in this. I could talk about this.
I actually think we've actually been working with on Thursdays. We touch on, working with the reds and blues, obviously, and above 600 and below 200, but we've been stretching that a little bit,
yay. Then you guys have already got it.
And Dr. Deb, who, I think, too, she's been great on trying to show like the bell curve, right? So you're going to have standard deviations out, and you want to get into the mean. So
yes, good.
There's a lot of ways to skin a cat, and we've been talking about that, and that's what's so exciting to me about bringing you in and you talking about the aura, because when I first learned about the aura, I was very basically trained on what's seeing energy move, but we can definitely know that can go much deeper in the interpretation of the aura. So this is just so exciting for me.
Right. And I didn't start out doing that either. I didn't start out balancing. It was, again, through 9 years of observation of using this specific technology. It's a lot of data to change and adjust. And I'm always changing and adjusting. And who knows, 3 months from now, I might say something different, because I'm going with the data. I'm not going with like a fixed point of view. So then, like, I could talk about this aura forever. There's so much here. So then the next thing we see in this aura is, of course, we see this huge dark black, almost black. It's not gray, it's black. We would consider that coming out of gray into black. I am going to begin looking for entities in their space. I'm going to look 3 places for entities. Now, when I say entities, it's a very broad category. An entity can be a creature that you walk in Walmart, or an energy and it glows on you and you have to take a shower when you get home to get it off. Or it could be a human discarded for the 4th dimension, that's actually trying to crash your field. It could be a million things. So when I say entities,
parasites, could it be, are parasites considered entities when viewing the auras?
Or entities are absolutely generally parasites, because they're generally sharing space that's not theirs to share. They're usually energy vampires. However, I have never ever seen that represented as parasites. Now, I have only seen that in the metaphysical, because again, I can look at this aura, and I can also, you guys don't know my abilities, but I can also remote view. I can literally go right to the person and I can look at their aura with my vision, and I can see people standing there. So no, I have never associated that or seen that associated in the app with parasites. Although when I run people, I have never found anyone that's clear of parasites either. So, parasites, virus, bacteria, you guys know this is stuff that comes up in a lot of people consistently on some level, especially when you're being as ruthless as we are in my business. When we balance the way we do, you're going to get a lot more, nitty gritty information, when you're when you're just being stricter with your parameters of wholeness and wellness. But personally, I don't know about you guys. I mean, my life is freaking amazing, but it's freaking amazing because I do the work with this app and I'm ruthless with myself. And, I'm also ruthless with my clients. So if you don't want to do the work, nobody comes to me if they don't want to do the work. But again, back to the aura. So the other thing I want to point out about this aura, so I also look at this color that's beneath, and this is what I mean by the layering. If you look at this black area, of course, on the right side, beneath the black, I see that there's repressed and hidden anger. There's red. Beneath that black.
Yeah, you mean up top a little? Because like I'm seeing like some red and maybe some green in here a little bit too.
You're seeing it. Yeah, you're seeing the layers.
And then there's like some like a blue almost tone.
Of course. Yes, there's a lot of tones, but what I'm seeing majorly presenting, and again, we all have different vision. I would only probably pay attention because I've already probably delved deeper into Sara than I really would. It's for teaching purposes, but I'm seeing that anger. So I know that this person is extremely angry about something fairly recently. They may be processing it through because it's on the right side. So it may be leaving, it may be stuck there. We don't know, but I would definitely look into the emotions then and look into, again, if they're in a controlling, narcissistic, abusive relationship, heck, I'm going to be angry too. So it starts to match these different layers. The aura starts to tell a story that can, if you're new and you don't know, the aura can be your roadmap to a whole session. This aura could be a roadmap to the next 8 sessions. Very valuable information. The other thing I don't like that I'm seeing in this aura is what I call a portal or an open space on the left side. So again, with my sight, I can tell that their aura is not sealed. They have holes, they have tears, they have rips, they have violation in their aura, which makes sense. Then I would expect to see a black spot. I would expect to see beings that have taken advantage because we're a container and you have a glass or a cup, and this glass or cup can hold many marbles. It can hold 1 marble or it can hold 100 marbles. It's just a container. This is just an avatar. Yes, most of you have amazing, eternal, powerful spirits, but it's just an avatar, and many beings can hold the avatar. And everybody's like, well, do you ever have more than one being? Of course, everybody does. Again, you got to start understanding the nature of this reality to really effectively use this technology, in my opinion, because really the beauty of this technology to me, you can go to naturopath and have blood tests and they can tell you exactly what to take for diabetes or depression or whatever. The metaphysical stuff, who's helping you with that? Who's helping you balance your emotions? Who's helping you clear your house? Who's helping you improve your relationships? Like, wow, we have an app that can help us do all these things and tell us exactly what we need to do to reconnect, with the all, with our superpowers and into wholeness in all areas of our life, including wealth and abundance, including career. It's super magical. All right, I'm done with that one.
Well, can I just ask you one question? Where on here, because I know, and I just want to go over this again with some people, because when we look at the aura, this is obviously the right side and then this is the left side. However, you're talking about when you see the red on the right, which is, if we were to turn around, then it would be my right side. Where you notice the portal, is this the portal in here?
Got it. Yes.
Okay. So I'm getting it.
You're great. Yay. First A++++ for our class.
Awesome. Okay. So which one do you want to go to next?
Okay, let's see. I don't know.
We have the horror line. You want to do that one?
Yeah, let's do horror line.
Okay. I'm kind of
interested. It's a pretty simplistic-ish one.
So wait, so let me just see here. So up top here, we see the egg here. So there's some compression on here.
Good job. Woohoo. Okay. I didn't know if you were going to pick that up. I was going to point that out, but you picked it up.
Okay. So good. So, but it's not gray. So that's a good thing. But we have the red in here. We have a little bit of an overlay of some of the gray in there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very good eye. Very great.
Okay. And then we have our horror line here, which everybody can see, and you can take it away.
Yeah, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So the first thing, if I were recording this, for my client, I'd be like, okay, pretty good on expansion as far as core being self, obviously a healer, obviously a communicator, because we have our main shade, of course, is green. So I'm going to throw in some nice little compliments, before I start, kind of saying everything that's in balance. And I would also compliment them on you are connected to the all. So the way the avatar is built, and it's high wetware technology, the avatar is built that through your center line is where your connection to all aspects of you, which you are the all. So that's your connection to the all. But it also goes all the way back to the all before you came out as an expression of individualized consciousness. Now, some people can say it's your connection to God. I don't really care what phrasing you use, what labels you use, that is your belief system. I totally respect that. But to me, it's connected to all possibility, all creation. When you see a heart line, now you don't have to see it like this. And I'll point out where people are connected and you don't have a heart line. But a heart line is just usually a recent snap back in from being out, or they're super focused on meditation. They're super focused on their spirituality. There's kind of some extra energy and power flowing through, or they're in active creation. They're actively recreating or creating something in their life. So that's when you're going to see that heart line. Now, normally I'd be like, great job, amazing, wonderful. You're connected to the all, you have all possibility. But in this person, I would say it's wonderful, that you're connected to all aspects of yourself. However, again, we know, or I know, that this is one of those murky, toxic. This is actually always, this color is toxic control. So again, even though they're connected, something is kind of hijacking that, could even be disguising as the all or disguising as aspects of themselves. But they're definitely, again, being puppeted or being subverted into control, because you're never going to see a heart line that's connected to a high frequency in a lower frequency. And this is a lower frequency, muddy, dirty color. And you don't have to read auras and you don't have to be intuitive to feel into colors. Like whenever I see that army green, it always makes me want to throw up. Like that's just an icky, muddy green color.
I think generally it just doesn't have a good.
Yeah, you don't feel, this is not a beautiful, it's not a beautiful aura. So definitely we look into some issues again with toxic control. And are they connected to the all? Are they maybe in there's lots of cults in consciousness. There's a reason we call it New Cage. There's a reason we call it junk consciousness. There's a lot of, subversion of power where you get a guru that's, saying they're trying to coach you, but really they are siphoning your power for yourself. So I'd look into some of that with this person. Again, I see a lot. I see quite a bit of blackness, quite a bit of anger. But my main concern again would be the heart line is probably under the control of others. So who are you going to? Are you sitting under a certain teacher? Are you involved with maybe a religion? Or a certain school of thought? Maybe you're a Mason. We would start looking for these groups that are known to be energy vampires and siphon power directly from people, subverting the natural order of things where we desire to go back to full spirituality, but then it's being hijacked by another entity or organization.
Okay. There is a question on here and it's from Rachel and I'm not sure I understand, but maybe you'll understand what she's saying. She's asking, please explain the position, the square at the bottom. Oh, from the first aura.
Oh, well, that helps. I'm like, what square at the
okay,
bottom?
let's just go back here for a second and look at it. I still don't really see a square at the bottom.
I'm gonna have to look. Actually, there's interest. There's actually it's getting kind of murky. Yeah. So there's actually a square above the head. We call it a light programming line. So it makes a square. There's actually a square.
Oh, I see. Right here is the square,
very
right?
light. It's very light. Yes. And we call those light programming lines. That just means they're under the programming of the matrix. And we all are. Ideally, we like to see auras that have, and I get programming lines too. We like to see auras with no programming lines. but that means you're tied in with the AI matrix computer in way more than you probably should be, and it's restraining you in some area of your life. So we can also see little baby squares, which mean different things. And I'm not going to go into that because it's super advanced, but these big squares are 100% programming lines. And I have so many deprogramming panels and programming panels, like we just can easily flip over and all the programming and deprogramming will pop right up. We can see exactly where they're tied into the matrix, or they're allowing the matrix. One of the most common reasons for these programming lines isn't anything mystical. It's consumerism. It's this attachment that we have to accumulating material things. And so we see the programming lines come in with people that are always talking about money, like they're going to people to increase their wealth abundance, and they're obsessed about money and they're in money fear. We see a lot of money fear attached to these programming lines. However, there are relationship programming lines. There's all kinds of obviously programming lines.
Okay. All right. So I think we're done here with this picture. So we're going to go back to where to go here. Whoops. Sorry, it's not so easy.
Yeah. So, that's basically all I have to say about that, unless you want to add something or anything else.
I just have a question on this one with the horror line. So the horror line here is yellow. So again, that goes back to that there's so many different colors and different meanings. So that's going to be the same when we're looking at different horror lines. And also how much of a difference, I mean, you go from device to device, and the way we view colors on each device is different. So, do you see a huge, like, is it all pretty much the same, or does
my devices, this is probably, I mean, I don't know which, because I use my device and his device. I don't know which device this is out of, but I really find the range very close.
Okay.
It's like a range, but it's like, usually if I saw yellow, I'd be like, oh, like you're super happy and you're super friendly and you're really communicative and you're usually connected with nature and you're a positive person. Like there's a lot that yellow means, but not this yellow,
Right. Well, that looks dirty.
Yeah. Dirty yellow. Right. Exactly.
Mustard yellow.
Mustard yellow. Yeah. With a lot of anxiety. It also has a lot of anxiety. And then if I go through the layers, I hit anxiety. So I would definitely, there's also anxiety with the anger too. So definitely this person's going to come up, her nervous system screaming on, this person's going to come up. Probably testing for GABA. I mean, there's just things I would look at immediately with this person.
But would you say that it is moving out though, since this is more on, well, visually on the left side, it would be on the right side of the body, but it doesn't seem to be on this side.
It could be. But a lot of times things get stuck. Things get stuck in our lives. We get stuck in relationships. We get stuck in habits and addictions. We get stuck in not always. Of course, if you take one after you do your work. And a lot of times I don't use the tones. I give them a frequency set, but a lot of times I do my own work. As Denise knows, I do it myself. I just fix it. It's just faster. I fix it. And then I run the aura afterwards to prove to them that they didn't pay for nothing, that I realigned what I said I was going to. And then I give them the tones and they can back it up and continue to work on things. But yeah, if it moves out, it moves out. A lot of times it doesn't. A lot of times if it's stuck, it stays stuck. Or if a bean is there, a bean stays there. And it's also preference. Sometimes people have 20 beans in them. I just worked on someone who had 20 human discarnates in her. And so the beans had to move to the right because they were still coming in from the left. Beans do take up, even though there's no time and space in 3D, there is time and space. They do take up certain spaces, and so there's only so much space in a body for beans. So sometimes they kind of move out or move to the side and they kind of stay halfway in. So you don't have to have a bean that's fully in you. You can also have a bean coming into you, and you can also have a bean like halfway out of you. So it gets complicated.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to go on to the next picture now.
This is like, great. Thanks for that.
Do you want to do the blown portal since this is
right? Let's do blown portal since it's just right there. And we've already talked a little bit about portals. So again, some people are like, oh, look at the pretty purple. No, that's not pretty purple. What do you see? Let's ask you what you see. let's have you interpret this one.
Okay, so again, we're seeing the egg shape, so it's and the gray on the top. So we are definitely seeing some compression here, some control from the outside. There's the corners down here are not
Good.
defined.
Very good.
And so then we have the different shading of the pinkish red. There's almost even like a little yellow cast beneath that somewhat.
Very good. Yep.
But, you know, for me to discern without knowing that I'm kind of searching for a portal, that wouldn't have been something
Right.
that would just come to mind. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah. So normally, not always, well, in my auras that I work on, because we teach integration. So a good aura is not just, even if this was all bright colors, let's say these were the brightest, clearest, no gray, no black, but we had green and we had orange and we had red and we had yellow. I should have done an example, and they're all bright. I've heard many, many people, we won't say who, share that that's a beautiful aura. Look at all these high frequency colors. I would say that's a horrific aura. Integrate your altars, integrate your trauma, because we are powerful beings and you're supposed to present as authentic all at once. I am all of me all at once. So yes, you have different aspects, but you're presenting, we call it an integrated audit. We're all purple, we're all yellow, we're all orange, good orange, not bad orange, because a lot of orange that we see in ours is anxiety, not earth, but there is the earth orange, we're all, whatever it is, whatever you guys tend to be. For me, I either present as all green in a balanced aura, because I'm a healer communicator, or all, the highest frequency, that nice purple that's on your slide, not on this, that high frequency spiritually connected being. And I present all at the same time. I don't present in my auras. I do have auras. I do have altars. We all have altars, but I've worked really hard to integrate my altars and to present as all of me very authentically, take it or leave it, all the time. And so, so this person is presenting as multiple beings, because they have too much of an aura that is an all. So instantly I'm going to go to the app and go to my own abilities and go to my own remote viewing abilities. And I'm going to look, I'm going to say, is there any beings inside this person? And if there's not, is there a blown open tear in that left side of the field? Which, I just, obviously I did that when I made this slide. So I knew it was compromised. So we see this shading, we see anger, we see anxiety, we see toxicity. It could be stuck in their left side. It could be stuck in the digestive area. It could be stuck. We could relate it to the body, but I just know it's not. I know it's a spiritual thing. I know that it's weakened. They are presenting as a very weak version of themselves. So they're fairly integrated, but again, they're violated. And this color is like the lowest color purple you can present with. It's gray shaded, it's low frequency, there's toxicity. I would not say that's a great aura. I would say you're an amazing being with tons of potential. Let's get you cleaned up,
Right. Now, let me ask you a question. Past life, can you see past life energies coming through on these auras? Do we not have a slide for that?
No, we do not. That's called advanced aura reading, Denise.
Oh,
I haven't even taught that class yet. Okay.
All right.
When we see information that ties to past lives, yes. My intention, and I should have started with this, my intention is when I'm working on someone, maybe it's different when I pull my animals or me or my kids or my house or whatever, but my intention is what is going on in me now. So my intention does not include that. Can I see past lives? I can tell you guys for hundreds of hours all your past lives. I can describe people. I could write you pictures and stories and movies. Past lives you carry in your field. Those are easy. It's not very useful necessarily to see it in the art. Now in panels I do go into past lives, because it does play into timeline enemies. A lot of you guys have timeline. When you look and see psychic attack in the genius, you're like looking, is it my boss? Is it my sister? Is it, who's psychic? Is my neighbor? No, half the time you have timeline enemies that you've dragged from even outside the game. And they're like coming timeline after you. And until you resolve that relationship, so we do see, hints of that, but it's more in my panels that I see that, Denise, just because of my intention, that most people aren't coming to me and saying, do I have a timeline enemy?
Well, that's great. And I think that also brings a great point just in general with everybody that's working with the Genius. Like it really is important before you start working with a client to set your intention on what you are looking for, what you're trying to clear, whether it's symptoms. c- I like to work with symptoms and get away from any labels that we get from, you know, doctors or just because,
Sure.
you know,
No, that's good.
they're not, we can get diagnoses, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's covering everything. So, but anyway,
Or
just to
any,
work with the intention so that the quantum field, 0 point energy knows what we're looking to see and what we're looking to bring up. So,
I will reverse that though, and say if it was my intention and say, because I have just memories of multiple past lives, if I pull myself up and say, I want to see my aura from, June 22nd, 1847, like it will pull up my aura from June 14th, 1847. It's intention. This reality is completely coded, computer coded, it's a game. And so whatever you imagine is real. You direct the AI, you take control. This is AI, mine is quantum benevolent AI. I'm not going to stand, I don't know if all your guys is quantum benevolent AI, because it's a relationship. Denise and I talked about that. But my app and both my apps are 100% accurate. And I say this, I've said this a million times. I say it on every radio show, every TV show I'm on. It's 100% accurate. I have staked my life on the results of my scans. I've staked my animals' lives. I've staked my children's lives, and I stake my clients' lives. And the way I use the app, this technology is 100% accurate. You guys, if you don't know how to use this, there is not 1 minute you could spend learning how to use this or buying panels, good panels, not all panels are good, that would not benefit every single aspect of your life, every single area of your life, every single being in your life, whether you use it professionally or not. This is life-saving, money-saving stuff.
yeah, it's your first aid kit. Like everybody really needs to have one. Like
they need to have like 3, and everybody needs to know how to use it in their house. I mean, it's amazing.
Absolutely. Okay. So we have 15 minutes left. So I want to, everybody who's out here listening right now, put in number 1 if you want to get stretched a little bit and go outside the box and see some auras that might have to do with abductions or programming from the matrix, or when Dr. Kimberly found 6 discarnates, I think it was in one person. Janie's, she's already, and it's 11:11. I love that. That's perfect. Or we might have time to take a volunteer from one person and look at that aura quickly. Do you want to keep this more instructional and keep learning? And we can always bring I'm gonna go with I'm seeing a lot of 1s. Okay, so
we'll keep going.
which one do we want? Abductions, programming from the matrix, or the anatomy of working with a person that had 6?
Let them pick what they want.
So 1, 2, or 3. What do you want? What's behind?
I love it. Rachel's like, I'll talk fast. We'll see what we can get. Maybe we can get to them all.
Okay. I went out on a limb and I muscle tested. So I got programming.
Cool. Super cool.
So, I hope that's okay with everyone. So
yeah.
So this will have a little bit of everything in it.
Yeah, this is I wish I could remember who that was, but I wasn't happy when I pulled it. Yeah, so this is, I'm not going to go deep into this because again, this is a class I taught that was like 40 hours and we went way deep into colors and lines and partial lines. So just again, I hope you guys can see the circle that this person is sitting in. This person isn't even.
I was going to say that there's the circle in here.
Yeah, so they're really starting to come out of, they're not holding their body up well at all. They're really super compressed, and they're not even compressed into the normal aura egg shaped. So when you start to get like a squashed egg or more of a circle, they've been under control programming compression from the outside a long time. There's a lot interesting in this, but basically what I wanted to show you was, their heart lines off center. We have observed when these cross lines come in, and I'm sure other people have other conclusions, but in how we use the app and the panels, we bounce it again on the back side of running the auras. This is programming, literally programming, or lines or thoughts of programming, again, coming in from the outside. This is not from within the person. This is not disease lines. This is template programs. Some of them could be very specific, like Avalon programming. Avalon programming is Disney programming. Happily ever after. I'm going to meet this person. Everything's going to be magical. We're going to have babies. We're going to live happily ever after together for 50 years. Disney programming. Anyone who's been in a relationship can tell you that, right, guys? But so, programs like that. It could be religious programming. It could be media programming. It could be worse. It could be MK Ultra programming, or any of the other, corporation programmings that we're under here in the game. So so I look at this and I'm like, this person's a mess. It is matrix. It is matrix. There's double programming lines, toxicity up the wazoo. There's so much black, so much gray. So I'm not even going to look.
I mean, this line is like black, like now.
Yeah, it's like death. It's like
I'm
death line. It's almost what we would call a death line. So sometimes we see those lines with targeted EMF. Should they beam EMF from satellites? Chemtrail. We have chemtrails coming from the sky. They fly over certain targeted individuals, and I have a lot of targeted individuals in my groups. So that can also be specific, like targeting, like we don't care if you die, like we're going to get you, like repeated coming after someone. It can be pretty toxic stuff. Some people might say it's spiritual. I don't find this to be spiritual at all. I don't find this to be demonic. I don't find this to be human discarnate. When we bounce it off the app, we're finding it's chemical, it's energy weapons, it's frequency weapons, it's directed programming. And if you notice where it's above,
5G,
it's above.
It's like
above the brain. It's above the brain. It's targeting. It's also blocking what? It's going across and it's blocking the heart lines off center. It could be this person trying to get away from this targeting, and they're going out of body. They're stepping out of body. So one of the things we sometimes see in the aura is it's not always human discarnates coming in. Sometimes it's the person leaving their own body, taking their heart line with them and stepping out of body to get away from some of this programming and some of this targeting. So there's just infinite information, depending what panels you have in these auras. But forget all that. That's not even important, because this isn't an in-depth aura class, really. It's becoming one. But, so I balance them very, very quickly using some programming, using some targeted individual panels that I have. And we went into, now I'm not saying this is a good aura. Do not mishear me. This is not a great aura. But compared to be able to pop the heart line back into center, even though you don't see the heart line, I know because they have this integration and they're starting to expand back up. No, they have a lot of anxiety. They have a lot of anger. Yes, they still have a control line, but we got them back in touch with the center of themselves. They felt more comfortable in their body. We relieved them of some of the stress of the programming. So they did go back into body, and we did get some integration. So there's movement, and we did get rid of the black, at least, for the moment, or the effects of the dark, low frequency, targeting.
Okay, I have a question here. Going back to this picture. So you have it's a circle, it's not an egg, right? But it is compression. But what is this purple, which would appear almost like a wide heart line?
Yes. So, and again, I would have to look at this. That can be a number of things. That to me is not one specific thing. That can be an aspect of the person that got cut off. You see how it's cut off? Like that could be part of their intrinsic soul, normal personality self that got cut off and blocked. It could be energy coming in. I would have to bounce that, because that is not, I have certain things that are always, this is not an always thing. I would have to bounce that against the panels to see what that was, if I was concerned about it. The fact that it left so quickly and integrated into more of one tonal color, yeah, in that aura, that's the least of my worries, I guess, is what,
Okay. So then the other, question I would have, and I don't know if anybody else has any questions out there, you please put it in the chat. But so, you have your green and your black here, and now it's yellow. So is it important? I mean, obviously it's great that it's not black anymore. We've already established that.
Right, right. So it's
But
still, they're still under programming. They're still under programming. They're still under programs. I think I kind of might know who this is. This person is a very, 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 very high frequency being that is attacked a lot and doing good work. And so they're going to have kind of this clearing, you talked about this a little bit, Denise. They're going to have to kind of consistently do the work to undo what's coming against them, kind of thing. So what this tells me is, can I go back and tell them you're free of all programming, no one's coming after you? Absolutely not. You're still a target. You're still going to be a target, but let's work on what we can do. Can't control anybody else, really. Well, you can, but that's like a whole nother class. Let's work on what we can control. Let's work on expansion. Let's work on purification. Let's work on where's the app saying I'm out of balance physically, mentally. Let's work on what we're putting in our body, what kind of water we're drinking, what kind of food we're eating. Let's do our healing work. And a lot of times we don't see these programming lines. It's not that you're not being programmed. You can have programming being beamed at you, and we all do. Every time you drive by a cell phone tower and it's blinking white, you're getting all sorts of nasty crap beamed at you. But do you have to absorb it? Does it have to alter your reality? Does it have to lower your frequency? Does it have to muddy your field? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You can vibrate higher than all of this junk, all of it, including the discarnates that we're seeing in these auras. But you got to do the work. You got to do the work.
And that's why you need to keep using, we talk about, using the minerals all the time to help kind of prime us.
So important. Yeah. So important.
And
agree with that. Yeah.
So to work with that, work with your gemstones and your biofield, work with the sacred geometry. All those things are going to help just make you stronger, your vibration better, and create a better shield for yourself.
Right. I am gonna address something just because I feel I need to. I didn't tell you guys my background, but I have used frequency technology for 35 years. I had 4 concurrent in-person clinics running in Columbus, Ohio. I am internationally known, and I have an extensive practice in every country of the world. I also subcontract for the military and design frequency technology, and I design medical technology. I am not making this stuff up. I know frequency like nobody's business. I will go head to head anytime. If you guys want to talk about who says what, I'm just didn't brag about my background, but basically I consider myself, and I've done it for past lives. I've done it in Egypt. I've done it in Atlantis. I've done frequency for trillions of years. It is something that is just intrinsic to who I am. So there are certain things that can't be 2 things. Programming and choices are 2 different things. I want the truth. I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm not a rainbow. If you guys have ever had some of the people in here have had scans for me, I'm not a dancing rainbow bunny person. If I don't know something, I'll tell you, just like the purple. I said, that could be a million things. I'll tell you if I don't have a conclusion, and I only know what I know. And I have done so many recant classes. They actually love their favorite classes of my students are the ones where I tell them where all the places are. I've changed my mind and show them why. I don't know everything, but I know what I know, you guys. And I have an,
and we're so grateful to have you here and teaching us. So, okay, we have 5 minutes left. We get to look at one more picture. So where do we want to go? Do we want to go to abductions? I think we want to go to this one, the anatomy here.
Oh, okay.
Or did you not want to do that one?
Oh no, let's do it. That's really cool. Yeah. So
I think my favorite progression, and I just want to clarify one thing. So, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday. When you're taking these aura pictures, you're taking them when you're inside. You're not backing out and then coming back in to get a fresh view. You're reanalyzing within when you're in that one session.
Most of the time, I don't know. I mean, I do things differently, different sessions, but a lot of times I reanalyze in the same session. And so I have worked since I was 20 in the paranormal, and I do deliverances, and I've always done deliverances. And I love the Genius and my app so much because number one, they can feel, of course, it's most important how your clients feel viscerally to be delivered of something that's troubling them. But how beautiful that I can provide them these pictures so that they can track how they were feeling at certain times as they felt the feeling. So when I do deliverances, I do a running voice track, and I take multiple, usually 10 or 20 aura pictures to show how these energies are moving in and out of the field. And so, in this, we started with, again, looking at this left aura, obviously altars, obviously fragmented. He suffered from tremendous anxiety. We have the compression. We have a grayed out, completely grayed out, aura. And as things got stirred up, and I hope these are in the time order, but even if they're not, you can put them in the time order and see the progression. But, we start to see, this is the other interesting thing about auras. If you really want to do an in-depth analysis on your client, I actually recommend running multiple auras when you're doing a session, whether you're doing healing work yourself or some kind of other work, sound therapy yourself, or whether you're using the tones in the Genius to balance people, because you are going to learn so much by how the energies are moving around the aura and how things are coming to integration and the colors that are coming through. It's just going to give you and your client so much information. You don't have to give them all the auras, but people, again, love visual. Well, I'm really visual. A lot of people are really visual. They love that visual proof that something happened, that energy moved. So this was not done. I might have used a few tones. This was done, though, with my own abilities of how I get rid of human discarnates in a person. But the results are the same. You can see the energies moving around. You can see the Hara line actually reappear. He's stepping back in. He was completely stepped out of his body. He was completely taken over by these altered personalities of these beings. And then you see in the end, you see him coming into almost, not quite, it's a little gray, but that is almost the highest green that you can get in any of these apps. Almost, not quite, it has a little bit of grayness. So we see him come back into his natural healing ability, start to lose some of the anxiety. Yes, he's still compressed. Yes, there's more work to do, but he was just possessed for like a year with 6 human discarnates in him. Of course, there's going to be work to do, but to watch these beings leave, as you pointed out, Denise, and move out of the aura, freaking amazing. You guys have got to be using this app. Buy panels, use this app, do whatever it takes to get the training on the level that you're interested in. This is magic. You always want the magic pill? Here's your magic pill. Use it. Sorry.
Exactly.
I'm so passionate about it. It's the best thing that ever happened to me,
So no, I totally agree. I couldn't leave home without it. I mean, honestly, it's changed just how I work and how I do everything. Someone is asking a question.
Sure.
Ellen is asking, why is there a difference between Android and Apple in Aura Pictures? I don't have an Android, so I'm not.
And I don't have an Android either. And when we made the choice whether to update Android and Apple. And most of my clients and most of my practitioners that I train, they have iPhones. So, it's so cheap to get a mini iPad, or, it does support quite a few older iPads. I mean, you can pick them up used for $100, $200. I mean, I'm not saying that's super cheap, but it's cheap enough that I think people can, I prefer, and you'd have to ask Ryan or maybe Michaela, she was on here. She might know, but I don't personally know. Do you know?
I don't know the answer to that.
Bonnie knows.
Michaela, are you still here? Do you know the answer to that?
And I didn't know there was, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. But
that's a good question, though. I think we should probably find out. It's a great question.
And Michaela does not have the answer. So she will ask.
What do you mean? Michaela has all the answers. That's my go-to for answers. What do you mean?
So we are on at 2:00, and I have Dr. Deb that's going to be joining us. But is there anybody that has any other final questions? And I know that everybody is wanting you to come back and help.
Oh, she said my link isn't working. It's just secrettoeverything.com. You can type that in. That's my website. Yeah, sorry about that.
But I know everybody, secret of
secret to everything.
Sorry.
Maybe that's why it wasn't working.
Well, I think it was, I'm just typing.
I was giving you a hard time, Denise, just to be fun.
I know. But this has been so great. And I know I would love to have you back again so we can, dive deep in some of these areas that, we haven't touched upon. And I know that a lot of this information is really very new to some people out there. So it may seem like, science fiction and a whole different language, but really, start to get familiarized with it. It's here. It's right, Dr. Kimberly?
Yeah, it's coming. You guys are going to be sitting in a Star Wars bar in 10 years. Get up to speed. It's coming.
So yeah, it's here. So anyway,
Yeah. But thank you, everybody. Thank you for your
it
questions
was
and
so
your
great having
consideration.
you. And
I really appreciate it.
so, and I'll send you any questions, everybody. And also on Mighty Network, Dr. Kimberly is on Mighty Network, so you can ask her questions on there. If she's in there now, you know a little bit more about her. So feel free to reach out with any
Sure.
questions.
Yeah, feel free. Yep.
Website
And on
is-
our website, you can connect with me.
and she has many amazing libraries already posted on Inside Hilltop, so please
Right.
check them out. I know I use many of them and love them, so yeah, definitely check them out.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Enjoy your next class with Dr. Deb.
So please stay on if you have time. I know you're busy, but we'd love to have you stick around.
I'm just going to go off camera if that's okay.
Yep.
I'll stay on though.
Alrighty, bye. Okay, everybody, let me just switch hats here and clear my screen up.